So what are we gonna do? We're gonna have like 70 people on Monday come through and do 1 minute to talk about themselves?
Yep.
And what's the room gonna be like?
This room.
Right, so it's gonna be this room, well, like who's gonna be in it?
All the CEOs.
CEOs of top Fortune 500.
Wow. Just everyone, all businesses attending.
And so there's a lot of businesses coming and they might have different motives. And what are your motives?
Convince them that we're worth hiring.
Convince them that we're hiring. Do you think a minute's gonna do it?
Well, no, we're trying to make ourselves memorable so that during the actual poster session, they come and talk to us.
Yeah. So who actually did it? You did Interactivity last year. You didn't? Did you, Lisa? Did it work for you?
In terms of like getting a job or anything?
How did the whole day go? What role do you feel like the 1 minute madness played in that?
I mean, the 1 minute madness, it got people to come to me specifically. I mean, like around the first half hour or so, you start to see a lot of people who picked you out from the 1 minute madness. And then later on, it turns into just people wandering by. But you get people hooked from your thing, and then you find that people flock to you for a little bit.
Right, so you make an introduction, you get people hooked, and you end up having conversations with them later.
I'm curious, do you remember if when they came to see you, was it like, oh, I noticed you're really good at this skill, or I was interested in your project, or just you seem cool, or?
I mean, some of them weren't really explicit about it, but they would come up and be like, so tell me more about this specific project. So they were like I think I mentioned maybe 3 projects in my presentation, and they would come over and be like, I want to hear more about what you did here and what exactly this is. And some people were just more general, like what was your favorite thing that you did? Tell me more about it.
So there's things I feel like are most effective when they're a starting point. To give people an avenue or a hook or a conversation starter. Generally, I think that the people who come to these events probably have a goal of targeting and selecting individuals for further consideration. And it's probably because either they have alumni from Georgia Tech, so they know what we're like and they know what we do. And they have kind of a clear idea of what they want to ask to know more about you. Does it make sense now for us to try a few presentations and see what happens, or what should we do now?
I think we should review a couple of those things like pacing, volume, etc.
Oh yeah.
Before we get into it.
So let's talk about some things that can be that can hurt your ability to get noticed or create a book. Stan, how'd you do with Interactivity last year?
I think like last time I tried to talk too many stuff, so I basically just put out like all the projects I have on the portfolio and try to jam those all in 1 minute. By the end, I don't think I did a really good job in trying to do that. So suggestion would be don't try to talk too much and just focus on the cores.
What are the biggest differences between your presentation this year that you're planning and the one you did last year?
So didn't show them stuff.
How many projects are you talking about?
So this time it was actually not a project focus. It was project focused. It was more like a skill set kind of focus. So
right.
It's different, and I guess trying to get your brand out, like different stuff.
So, and other second years, maybe you did it last year, maybe you didn't. But what are your kind of goals with your format?
Something we talked about as a group, and I wasn't there last year, but I talked with a lot of the guys who were, and there's kind of a spectrum of the approach. Like there's, the classic project, like here's what I've done. Then there's, the skill, and then there's also like the theatric kind of approach, where it's like you don't really say anything about like what you've done or what you do. You're just like trying to really sink into the hook and set the hook for them to talk to you. We've heard pros and cons of each, but one kind of overarching principle is the use of, like, you have to define it, because if you just do theatrics and you have absolutely no content, they'll just be like, okay, this person likes film or something, but like that's it, And another one was use of audio in the presentation. I think we kind of all agree that it's not advisable, unless it's just like background, just very gentle, but they kind of want to hear you talking and not just like standing there while a video does the talking.
Yeah, presenting in front of a room is like a showcase of your soft skills. How can you relate to your audience? How can you appreciate their motivation and keep them engaged? But also there's the selfish motive to present yourself in the favorable way or the way that you want to be presented. Do people have sound in their videos? No. Cool.
I think I looked at all the videos that were up there. Maybe 2 of them had some, and that was again music, gentle music. Yeah.
So, yeah, Riley, you make a good point that there's the content that you put in your presentation on the video that you've got going on behind you. And then there's your own presence in front of the room. And depending on your strengths or your confidence level, you may choose to balance one or the other, but you're still going to be presenting yourself both in person and with video. You mentioned something earlier about voice levels. Who considers themselves an expert public speaker? Who considers themselves a rather good public speaker? Yeah, come on. Let's let everybody know. And who doesn't like public speaking or has fears of it or doesn't want to do it at all? Who is sort of in the middle between? Alex, come on. You're performing in front of people.
I mean, I get nervous, and I get nervous in front of people, but I rehearse a lot beforehand, like over and over and over, until you could wake me up in the middle of the night, and I could probably give you my presentation.
Yeah, and when you get up in front of people, you're still like shaky and nervous,
Yeah.
but you sort of fall back on the practice, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And there are routines.
Yeah, I think that brings up a good point. You really want to practice it. You can tell when somebody has looked at their slides for 5 minutes and when they've looked at it for an hour. And I'm not telling you to look at it for an hour, but once you actually internalize what your message is, if anything happens during the day, so if someone cuts into 15 seconds of your demo and you have to get it back, you know what to do. Like you take so many of the decision points out, you're not trying to figure it while you're up on stage, and all of a sudden you can just boom, 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 you can even adjust. You can see what the audience is responding to and go more down that line. So really, really prepare. Like really just know what your message is and what you want to get across, what that message is.
For me right now, what kind of things are my body language saying? Do I have any body language right now, or is it? I can't tell because I'm up here.
Sort of a relaxed position.
Right, and is that the way I should be in front of all these people, though, do you think?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. And I think it comes down to personality.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're saying or how you're saying it.
It does. Since the motivation is to try to connect with people, body language is going to play a part. If I talk really soft like this, it's maybe not the best thing. But if I have a really high pitched voice, sound like that's okay. Well, my point is that like how you present it matters too, so not just what like that. Probably doing other things too, like breathing heavily and pauses. Stop. Do we have somebody who wants to volunteer first to do a presentation demo? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, with the video and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. By the way, when thing is playing, will it also be in front of the little screen?
Probably.
Oh, good point. Do you need to see what it says?
Not see what it says, but I'm timing myself with it, so it helps to see where it is at.
So are your slides like the same color? Because if they're not, you may be able to tell just from
No, I won't be able to tell. I mean, I have small elements to it.
You can kind of mask it by just like slowly walking. and
Well,
just your
if
chair.
nothing else works, I'll have someone hold up a mirror. That works.
Do you have your slides in
On the thing.
The page is, you can't see it, stuff on the page anymore though.
Hmm?
It just says registration is closed, like you can't like view your own presentation anymore.
You can go to like.
fixed it, I thought.
Did they?
Yeah, PHP and you'll find it.
Okay.
Well, a couple other things, just, practice your pacing. So you don't want to be speaking really fast. The only time it ever works is if like you're super enthusiastic, but that's generally because you're also speaking clearly, but be careful about your pacing. And this is an auditorium and there's going to be people in here, so it's kind of quiet now, but once you get little rustling bodies that are filling this entire place, you have to speak louder. You want people in the back to hear you, not automatically. So just little, technical things like that, for your practice as well.
I think also something Joe mentioned about rehearsing, definitely huge. 'Cause just from what I've noticed from myself practicing myself past day or two, it's not going to be exactly the same every time. And if you haven't rehearsed it a lot, you'll like trip over yourself on like, oh, I forgot to say this. You'll be thinking in your head and like, so just be comfortable with it so that you can, like you said, make changes on the fly and be able to be like, oh, I didn't mention this, but it's okay, or just do it confidently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what the good thing to think about is what would prevent this from being a total failure? Like, could you, if the videos broke down, could you still give your presentation? That's a good thing to think about. Yeah, last year, Ashton wasn't even able to make it on time, but her video still ran, and it was effective. Where do I
Also,
do that?
rehearsing is like, if you rehearse for like 5 to 10 times, when you present, there's still a bit of spontaneity when you speak. But if you over-rehearse it, it would sound monotonous. So try not to do that too.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. So when I say rehearse a lot, I don't mean like you're getting it word for word. I mean you just know your subject matter in and out. Just like Michael Jordan, right? So he's just like.
How do I close it?
Oh,
And how do I start it over again? I don't have to hit space. Hi, I'm Harshad. I'm a user experience designer. I'm good at building simple and elegant solutions for interesting and everyday problems. I love to create things that elicit from my users the sense of delight. I have past experience with conducting user interviews, contextual inquiries, building wireframes and mockups, and doing user testing and iterating. I have 3 years of software engineering experience as well. I'm good at Java, C#, databases, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a bunch of scripting languages. I'm not saying that I'm a unicorn. What I am saying is that I bring to the table a great sense of design, the practice of approaching problems from their roots, always validating my assumptions, and the constant willingness to learn. I'm looking for internships for this summer. If you're interested, come over and I can talk to you about all the projects that I've done and my past experiences. I think I need to tune that last part, but yeah, pretty much.
okay, great. My thoughts?
I thought the subtitles were a little distracting.
Yeah.
They were?
Yeah. It made me be reading them and then comparing them to what you say, so whenever you had like a slight difference, it was, I don't know, it was a little distracting.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I don't know, like, the makeup of the people who are coming to this, if we have people who are deaf.
Well, also consider we can't really change the presentation. Also true, but that's a good point. Any other comments?
I do like that at the end you said, I'm available for internships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted
I think
to,
that's
I mean,
important.
that's the action item, what do they take away from it? I'm looking for internships. I don't want them to be wondering, okay, so what do I do with it now?
I think volume a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
work on volume just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's so empty and it's echoing, so I'm feeling awkward talking loudly, but I guess I'll adjust myself when there are more people and there's whispering and rustling and all that stuff going on.
And then also watch your timing on the unicorn, because if the
Yeah.
crowd likes that, you don't want to step on your lap. You want to give that a little bit of time for people to laugh on that and then continue going. It's just going to seem more natural than if you like deliver the joke and you're right back onto your mouse thing. So just you want to read the crowd on that. You don't want to also be waiting if nobody thinks it's funny, because then that's really
Right.
awkward. But just think about that.
Cool. Okay, thanks.
Breaks in the way you speak. So you're saying a lot. You could say less. take the script that you've got,
Mhm.
and I think without the subtitles, when someone reads the subtitles, you can usually read faster than you can speak. But when you speak in sentences and have a narrative you're trying to create,
Mhm.
there should be pauses to breathe, and you should choose the key messages that you want to have, and isolate them to the dead space. So
So that sinks.
I thought that the best, most interesting statements were the ones where you're saying you're not a unicorn, you had a pretty concise summary and everything, and then talking about how you're available for internships at the end. I think those are the most important things,
Mhm.
and that otherwise there should be more breaks in what you say. Avoiding the laundry list
Okay.
of stuff. is
Yeah, I
probably
thought that
helpful.
that was too many words and
Yes,
I almost tripped over myself.
chunk it. Chunk it into a few chunks. Presentation-wise, get away from the podium and think about what your feet and your arms are doing. Also, I wouldn't ever look back at the screen. Maybe once during the, try to look at every single person in the room.
Okay.
Any other comments?
This is just a general comment, not specific to you, but also whenever you're saying something, you want to think, could all of the other students say this exact same statement? The more statements you can put in that are unique to you, or maybe just a small handful, it's really going to show your value a lot more. So if you're saying like, I'm a UX designer, I do UX research, I'm methodical, those are generic things, but if you can give examples that get that point across, it's gonna seem way more entertaining and interesting.
Or if one of those key things that you're mentioning is perhaps your strongest, most important element, stress that.
Okay.
Because does everybody feel like they know exactly what Harshad's deal is now?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to view this video later, I would feel kind of, that I had a good idea about what he did because of the subtitles. Even if I missed the initial presentation, say, oh, okay, he has this particular skill set.
Yeah, I mean, that was the original idea, but then I don't know if anybody would actually look at the video.
What I took away from it was that you're a generalist, you're affable, and you're looking for internships. You're not
Yeah.
too serious, but that's it.
Yep.
And you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say with the wonky things bubbling in and all that stuff with that.
I could have seen like one or two projects, I guess, that you did. I could see the example of your work. I think that'd be only.
Yeah, I was sort of split between putting my past work and projects in this versus showcasing my skills. I could pick one of those. I didn't have enough time for both. So in the end, I just say I can talk to you about my past work when you come visit me in my booth, and I'll see what I can do to make your day or something.
A deliberate focus on skills, I think, is okay. That's just my opinion. So maybe let's have somebody else do one. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
I haven't really thought about what I'm going to say. I just like make a video and put it out. So,
You want to try it?
yeah, I could try. I haven't timed it. There are many projects that are coming in between, so I might not really be able to deliver things on time.
What was that?
I haven't timed it. I mean, there are many things coming in between, so I don't know if we should time it.
No, you'll learn again. Who wants to go next? Okay.
Hi, I'm Tulika. I'm a first-year master's in computer interaction student, and that's me doing skydiving and trying to say that I'm bored. I'm trying to say that I'm bored and I'm willing to take this. I'm a UX designer and researcher, and for me, UX means communication. and not to scare people who are using technology. And some of my past experiences include UX design and research on mobile app development and game design and development.
What, just tell what the project is. Or just
And e-commerce website design and development. I actually haven't put thought into what I'm going to say in this. And I also sketch in my free time, and I'm looking for an internship. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Internship.
Yeah, if you can, I don't know if we can fix that.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, huh? Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, we should let Florian know we can make corrections. Or you could say, you could leave it and be like,
Dude,
I usually have pretty good attention to detail, but
Yeah, okay, now that you have it,
You can put up a picture of it, beverage.
yeah, like a cup or something.
Hold one up.
Big ladder.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for an intern goal.
Yeah.
I'm looking for interns.
I thought the format was good. Yeah, if you flesh out like one sentence for each of those projects, like.
Yeah, I need to figure out what I want to say.
Yeah, no, but I think the format was good, and then I did the same thing in mine, but I liked how you ended with like what you kind of do outside of school and UX and stuff. So it flows and it gives a little bit more personality.
I think you should be careful with that though, because that slide seemed like very
It's just
brief.
coming on. Yeah.
So, I don't know, like,
Even I felt that when I was looking, but
yeah.
it was 6 o'clock and I just like submitted it.
Which slide?
Like the
The
sketch
sketching
slide.
one.
Like, she would have to just do like really quickly, and
Yeah.
also sketch, and
Yeah.
available for an internship. Like, it was very,
Very brief. Yeah, it was
quick.
just
You could use that slide and say,
and talk about it during this slide, I guess. I don't know.
or you could say something along the lines of, but I'm also an artist, or how would you work that in?
Visual design. It's really about art.
I mean, there was a lot of things that I thought I could say, but when it actually came to talking, I couldn't like put it all, like, because I didn't have a script ready or I didn't really think of what I'm going to talk in my projects. I was like, I just thought about, oh, I can say this, but when it came down to talking, I don't think I could talk about everything.
I think you have a good flow. What you could do is write down one sentence for each of these on a Google Doc or something, and then figure out how to
think that
make
was
those
the idea that I was
transitions.
going to do this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watch your and us.
Yeah, I will do that, yeah. I did do that.
If you prepared some complete sentences,
Yeah.
then you would be able to know that these were complete thoughts. When you're confident that you've completed a thought, you're able to avoid those stop words,
Right.
gap words.
Yeah. If I like figured out what I'm going to say, probably that wouldn't be happening. Right now, I really didn't know what to say for all of this. So.
Yeah.
Right, and when you rehearse, you will know that, okay, you have too much space here, you need something to say, or, you know, you need to slow down during
Yeah,
this because you
exactly.
have enough space to say.
Yeah, I think what would be helpful is whether we know that, if we're going to have the presentation being played on the slide, I mean being played on the laptop so that we can time it accordingly. If it's just going to be playing in the background.
I would, just to be safe, I'd pretend it won't be there.
Yeah, don't
Because, I mean, it's probably better if you're out front center anyways, because
Right.
it'll help projecting.
Right.
But, I mean, I imagine it would be there just because it's mirroring.
Or that you're getting that point across if they're supposed to be paying attention, what they're supposed to be seeing, or if they're not, you know, you should have them in a story. Otherwise, if you just kind of say one or two lines and you stop, they're gonna be like, what am I looking at? Am I supposed to be seeing something here?
You could use that slide to showcase what you actually did on the images that we're seeing. Like, what were your contributions on that slide?
Okay, so the game design and the website were individual projects. So I guess, and the previous one was a team project.
This one?
Yeah, this one. So I guess, I mean, I've given the subtitle below it. So it involves like everything, UI design and front end. I don't know what I want to say.
You could point out that this signature, that's your signature, and that immediately tells people that this is a drawing. These are the little things that count.
I think you could pretty easily tie that in by saying, however, I'm not all about technology, I can also do traditional art or something like that. Just to like show yourself as a very well-rounded.
Let's do another one. That was great.
Thank you.
There.
Okay, we have to have some applause.
Thanks, guys.
I won't have this script in my hands. I'm okay. So. All right, everyone ready?
All right, set, go.
All right, good morning. My name is Chris Reiner, and I'm a user experience researcher who is looking for an internship for summer 2014. I'm going to talk to you today about my design philosophy, which is the exploration and examination of exotic and experimental spaces in an ethical manner. I consider experimental as the use of novel techniques, such as a robotic co-mediator in caring for Parkinson's patients, to solve a problem. The term exotic includes physical spaces we can't easily reach, like the moon, or problems that have no obvious solution, such as endowing robots with emotions and personalities. Research in exotic and experimental spaces must be done in a manner that preserves human dignity and promotes human well-being. With these three ideas in mind, let's use them to go places. If you want to learn more about my work, please contact me via email or look for me at my interactivity poster. Thank you, and have a nice day. I realize I have
Cool.
Yeah.
Having a few seconds at the end is pretty.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's kind of a breathing
process.
Have you anything mean to say?
Go ahead, I've heard far worse. Yeah.
I know you're reading from a script.
Okay.
And there's a couple things that come when you read from a script.
Yeah.
One is it's rather monotone.
Okay.
Two is there's no eye contact.
Right.
Three is you're moving your hand over your way.
Yeah.
Four is the word density and the syntax is maybe clear if you're reading it on a page, but when you say it out loud, it's kind of clumsy. You choose some words that you wouldn't ordinarily say,
Right.
but they look fine.
Right.
Like 10 other words.
Okay.
I think that you know very clearly what you focus on. I wonder how repeatedly rehearsing your speech can cause you to either change some words or get some phrasing more natural.
Yeah. I was practicing this last night and it sounded okay to me, but then again, I'm the one who wrote it, so it's of course going to sound okay to me.
When everybody else practices, do you record your speech and then listen to it? I see one nod. What do you think?
Sometimes you don't listen, but the fact that you just record makes you aware that it is happening. It's also good for timing and stuff. Sometimes you're listening. It helps also like to get used to your own voice, like when you speak to microphones.
Right, and I don't think there will be microphones. Did we figure that out? Probably there won't be microphones, so probably your natural voice is what we'll want to think about.
Okay.
One thing that I felt was in the beginning,
Yeah.
it was Chris Renard and MSHCI 2015. When I was looking at 2015, you said, I'm looking for internships in the summer of 2014.
Okay.
That sort of hit a dissonant chord. It jarred me slightly. I don't know if it's a big deal.
That brings up a good point.
I couldn't figure out what role you're looking for really well, like, or sort of a designer or
Okay.
Could you say what you're looking for? Because that might help us with some of our feedback. Are you looking for a research role? Are you looking for like a development role, a design role?
Okay, so what I can do then is switch around some of that interest like wording so it's a little more clear. All right.
What are you?
What are you?
User experience research internship.
User experience.
You could just say, I'm looking for an internship for the summer, rather than saying 2014.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you can say the 2014 thing at the end as well, so it's
Okay,
not.
so it's hit twice.
And we're all going to be at Interactivity, so you don't have to say it's your Interactivity poster.
Yeah.
And you don't have to
It's
say,
good.
you can reach me by email, you can say, email me.
Okay.
I think I did a pretty good job in matching like the center three words, like
Yeah.
experimental, but like for the first one, like them, and also the last one, explore, I didn't see any like matching between those, so.
Okay, yeah, that might be sort of a timing issue. I'll work on that.
If you had one sentence that corresponded to each of the slides where you had a prominent word,
Okay.
and you included that word in that sentence, it's grounded.
Okay.
So instead of saying examination, if you use the word examine, it works. Would that, do you think, help at all? Do you have another comment?
Yeah, somebody in the, yeah, you did.
It's probably stupid, but I just
No.
wanted to say that I like that you said in the end that you wish the people a nice day. I thought that was good.
I was also trying to fill up the time.
Yeah, no, good morning and nice day. is good.
Yeah.
I think the pictures were really nice. That's really great. And along the lines of the monotone, put some enthusiasm in it. And just you be excited about it, because if you're not going to be excited about it, why should anyone be excited about it? So I think you have some really good content there you can work with.
All right.
Did anybody see Bill Nye's debate?
Yeah.
It's on my list.
His presentation style is a great nerdy enthusiasm. That enthusiasm. Cool, let's do another one.
All right, I'll grab the bow tie then. Help it out.
Do you want the first years? Do you want the first years to go first?
Doesn't matter. Iris, do you want to go?
Would that be okay? I need to head out in a second.
I'll see you too,
Yes, he's there. All right, Mark. Set. All right, I'll hit the space bar. That way you can pretend that it's automatic.
Hi, my name is Iris Sun. I'm an MS Digital Media student graduating this May. Okay. A little bit about myself. I am a professional napper. I love interior design and succulent plants, and I'm also Chinese, so that's a fun fact. I love digital media because I feel like it's a perfect crossroads between art and technology, and I particularly like to use that in creating interactions. Those usually fall into three main buckets. First of which is how people connect with technology. The second of which is how people use technology to connect to other people. And the third is how people use technology to connect to the world. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, please come find me. If you can't, my contact information is right up there. My website, iris-sun, and my email, iris.sun. Thank you.
That was really well rehearsed.
Yeah,
And
the
good
timing,
visuals were
I
awesome.
really liked it.
I like the consistent background. I like your color choice.
I think you have a very clean style, and so when I saw that workflow, that was like crazy spaghetti, right? And so
Yeah.
say something about that. So say how you can take chaos and make it simple and beautiful, because everything else is so simple and beautiful. And then when you talk about like you do these like workflows and stuff like that, and you get into like this Visio-looking like design, like spin it. Say like, and I can take complexity and make it simple and beautiful. People are going to want that. People are going to want their products, which are crazy to be simple and beautiful. But it looked really good, and then just a little bit on top.
Because when you say, I'm all about interaction, you don't want to have that crazy mess as a representation of the interaction you refer to.
Right.
I'm a professional napper line kind of came off a little weird.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
that,
didn't
Yeah,
know if you
I-
said napper or
I
mapper.
heard napper.
I heard mapper.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you said something like, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, I'm a professional napper.
I would even cast it in a slightly more positive light, because napper it sounds like, oh, I'm gonna fall asleep on the job. But if you say, oh, I'm a professional daydreamer,
Ah.
that
That's-
sounds.
Or
Yeah.
I'm a professional napper, that's me daydreaming.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about mentioning being Chinese? Do you want to mention it? Stress it?
I mean, I could stress it. I'm bilingual,
Uh-huh.
but
Oh,
I think
bilingual?
it's just a fun fact.
What do you guys think
That's-
sounds
that's-
better?
that's-
Bilingual or
yeah.
Chinese?
I thought it was just a fun fact because not many people think I'm Chinese. But
If you said, not many people think I'm Chinese, but fun fact, I'm Chinese.
And fluent
and
in,
fluent.
yeah. I would hit, that's.
Okay.
Cool, can we have another one? I don't know if you need much work, dude. You're pretty good. Yeah, I can do it. Cool.
I have a question. Do you know what goes out sound? Because I also saw the video. I don't know if it's appropriate. So just okay,
Well, we should try it.
we should try it. Will the computer we use?
Yes.
You don't speakers.
Okay. So,
No, I mean, if it scales, then there might be like one edge on the side. I'm gonna-
So no speakers.
panel. The panel has been removed and replaced with an AMX touch panel. Fun. And.
Oh, I think there was something. It's good, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to get some layers.
It's fine. I was just I used some clipping for the timing on my side.
Like graphic?
Yes.
Well, in the interest of having time.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I'll see you at 2:30.
Sorry.
I'll be in the MCI.
Hello everybody, my name is Adam Ofinski and I'm a German interaction designer, media artist, pervasive game designer and project manager. I firmly believe that design can make a difference in the world, so my work ethic is really high. I'm a very honest, loyal employee and very knowledgeable and good learner. My skill set is pretty wide. I have experience in physical computing, building installations and environments, performance art, graphic design, interaction design, online audio and video production, as well as offline, also online programming. I also have a lot of experience in project managing, cultural management, including curating exhibitions, project managing, forming and running a game lab, and all the way to community building. All right, now I lost it. Fuck. Can I try again?
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. I was a little bit off the timing.
Not by much.
Not quite much, but a little bit, yeah.
Don't panic when you miss your milestone.
Yeah.
Just keep moving.
I just need to, give me a second to think. Yeah. Okay. Hello everybody. My name is Adam Ofinski and I'm a German interaction designer, media artist, pervasive game designer and project manager. I honestly believe that design can make a difference in the world, thus my work ethic is really strong. I'm very knowledgeable, flexible and a quick learner. My skill set is pretty wide. I have experience in physical computing, building installations and environments, performance art, graphic design, audio and video production, as well as offline programming, more so on online programming, websites, etc. I also have a lot of experience in cultural management, from curating exhibitions to project managing to running a game lab and to creating communities from scratch. I spent so far my whole career within the academic sphere, but if you're interested in hiring a project manager or the like that is very appreciating challenges, is at home in the land of multitasking and has deep insights into different layers of media production, please come and talk to me. I have a lot to show. Thank you very much.
All right.
Is the high frequency just like a temporary placeholder for transition, or is that going to be in there?
The what?
The high frequency tone.
I was planning on having it or trying it out here.
Okay.
There's also like a drone in the background, which
Okay.
very quietly, since I didn't know if there would be audio, just to emphasize.
If we can't get audio, because I could hear the drone or the rumble, it kind of jumped out at you, like in a distracting way, just because it's like, what's like, I heard it in the beginning and I thought it was just like a fan or just something, but then every time it switched, I don't know, it just jumped out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear that clear.
It's definitely good as a practice tool, yeah, but just as far as in performance, maybe.
One thing was when you said, I truly believe that design can make a difference in the world, and then you transition it to other stuff. I think a pause is you could use a pause in between, because you were sort of changing subjects and there
My
wasn't enough
intention
time.
was to make an argument because I believe that design can make a difference in the world. I have all these qualities.
Okay, then you need that kind of transition, because I
Yeah.
didn't get that.
How you just said it there when you explained it, you like that, sort of like defending yourself, was really strong. Yeah.
Yep. And in the first time around, you didn't say those things. You said something about being loyal and hardworking employee. I would change that to person.
I
If
have
you
a
do go
whole
with
list
that.
of like 20 terms that I just throw.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you do go with that, I would not use the term employee. I would rather use person instead of that. It's more personal.
One person.
For lack of
Loyal
question.
person.
Hmm?
Where you just say, I am loyal.
No, on the first time around, I think you said, maybe I heard it wrong, but you definitely said employee.
Yes, you said it.
That was rather impersonal.
You're right.
I wouldn't make such a big deal about having been only an academic for very long, because you might trick some people into thinking that you have plenty of work experience. And not only that, I feel like when you talk about curating art installations and coordinating projects and building stuff, those are all things that you could be getting paid for. So I don't necessarily think you need to focus on the lack of work experience. In fact, I would mention it all.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to portray it as a negative thing at all.
Well, my strategy, actually, I
Maybe it's
think
just
I will
a little
build it in. I was just wanted to say what my thoughts were behind that, if I may. You know, mistakes like you have seen, I have no idea how to sell myself, you know, because I'm sort of like in between things, and I have no experience in like how to sell myself to the industry. So I thought, you know, maybe going offensive in this direction at the end would be good. But I see what you guys are saying.
I think when we talk about having experience with event management, project management, you're saying, you're actually positioning yourself well. So given the context that everyone here is hiring, looking for who they are for business, I think you can eliminate that and assume that it's sort of part of what's going on.
That's great.
Well, and seriously, there are a lot of roles that involve coordination. Right? So if what I hear from this is that you're positioning yourself to be working on whole experiences and projects that involve tangible, physical environment and culture all intertwined. And that's what you're trying to achieve, I think.
I think it was well timed. Like I can tell that you worked on timing your speech to the video, but at the end it felt like you were trying to fit a lot in that last minute. So if you can, I would go back through what you're gonna say, and I mean this is like common writing practice. Go through and if there's anything that you don't need to say, just take it out. I don't know exactly how to go about doing that, but just unnecessary words, unnecessary.
I think if I cut out the thing that you just mentioned with the academic background, I already have like 4 more seconds where I can, you know, be slower with the other 3 points.
Yeah. You can talk a little bit slower. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, a little word surgery.
Yeah, from back here, the pacing was really good at the beginning, but then at the end, you switched it. And that could even happen even if you have it well timed. So then just be ready to drop something instead of trying to cram it in there. And that's just going to be from knowing your material.
An activity that I think is going to make this as precise and effective as you want it is to, although you're taking advantage of those beeps to time, one effect is that when the beep happens, your sentence hits a click and a thought, and it just stops, and you move on to the next topic. It might be constructive to figure out how this sounds without the cues. Once you remove some words, but you practice the pacing enough that you hear without those beeps whether you are able to complete the thought and move to the next phase without sounding like colliding.
One thing that I found really helps is take a look at your words and see if there's any other words that you could substitute for it. I found that if I say master's student, it takes a lot more time than MS. So I substituted a lot of words just to save like half a second.
Do you have something specific in mind when you listen to my words before thinking like that can be
Well, when you're like listing, there's two like segments where you're listing a lot of things. You could just say like, I can do everything ranging from this to this, and let them see it for themselves.
Yeah,
If
same
you
for
find
the
yourself
last.
out of time.
Or even like abbreviations, instead of audio video production, just say AV maybe, just abbreviate.
And, well, one example, if you're already doing this and doing it well, is when you introduce yourself as German. Instead of taking the time to say, I'm from Germany. Yeah, okay. So like you're already doing something well.
And also, for whoever saw it, I thought you were really enthusiastic, and it seemed like your eye contact and your arm movements really made it feel like you wanted to connect with the people you
I was
were
not
talking
shaking
to.
around too much.
No,
Because
no,
I felt
no.
like I was cool.
I
No,
did
it-
that,
you-
I thought it was good.
You can kind of, you kind of, forgive me, you kind of look like enthusiastic and geeky and more concerned about the work you're doing than like your mannerism, which I think is a strength.
It
It's sort
seemed
of
like you were interested in what you were saying, which is good.
it plays into a stereotype of like an avid, active designer.
I want to know what I sounded like.
What?
What did I sound like?
You seem really like casual and present, but unprepared.
But,
Unprepared.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And also for organizing this. It's really awesome.
I thank David, yeah.
Let's just say that. So let's. Hi everyone, my name is Hao Zheli, or you can call me Stan, and I design articles including for interactions. Thanks to my education and professional experience, I've been trained to have the core skills to be a UX designer. So I conduct user research to understand what the user wants and need. I interview them, and somehow just go to the place that they work, like I did in the English Avenue project. And I will sketch out interfaces and iterate based on feedbacks to high fidelity designs made in Photoshop Illustrator. Oh, I didn't realize there's sound in here. Let me turn off. So, do we have sound?
It probably will be available, but I wouldn't bet, just in case.
Yeah, I actually don't want the sound to be there.
Oh, just in you.
Just to be safe. Yeah, I just I will rapidly prototype from low fidelity mockups made from balsamic or highly interactive ones made in Assure. And on dimension, I can also code. I create a web application like for this Swiss Atlanta project I did. So if you're interested, come to talk to me. I won't buy it. And thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're going to talk more stuff.
Why? Because you had time left?
Yes.
Well, don't forget that you stopped in the middle, so.
Thing. I thought the mannerisms, I think you looked up the whole time. It may have just been that you're still getting the timing down. But same with like your pockets. You had your hands in your pockets, kind of looked at the screen. So it just wasn't as, you couldn't connect very well with the audience. And it also felt, I think this is related, but it felt like you were waiting on the slides before you would continue on. It was just
Yeah,
pause.
you could keep talking. You could talk ahead of the slides if you want. Okay. In fact, you might need to because you had so much to say.
Yeah.
What kind of position are you looking for?
So UX design. Oh yeah, I should. Yeah, I was planning to mention that in the last slide, but I forgot.
So what I would do is I would frame all those activities because you're almost showing the entire spectrum of design. You're talking all about from like generative user research to usability to wireframing to rapid prototyping. So spin that within the frame of design. So I'm a designer who can do these things as well to make my design better. So not like you're amazing at all of these things, but like show how you're like above other designers because you can rapidly prototype. You can do usability studies if you have to. You don't have to wait on somebody to get there.
So I was suggesting like mentioning like in this UX design sense, like in all the 4 parts.
The message that I got that you didn't explicitly say was, "Hi, I'm Stan. I can't pronounce it.
Okay.
But and I'm a UX designer, and here's my process. Because essentially, you sort of follow through all these steps, and it seems like it's the thing that you're enthusiastic about. And so, I think you can turn this into a story where you say, you know, I want to be a UX designer, and here's the process. These are the processes that I use.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah, just make sure it's clear what you want, because me sitting here, I might be looking for a designer, I might be looking for a user researcher, I might be looking for someone who can do everything, and you want your message clear so that someone says, oh, that's the person I'm looking for. Because I also don't know if I'm just looking at an amazing developer who has much better styling and research skills than other developers.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Actually, I'm fine with that, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, you could say that. You could say, you know, I'm looking.
Also, at the end, you didn't say if you're looking for a full-time position right now.
I should totally.
So you should definitely, I guess, tell the people who are listening to, okay, I'm looking for a full-time position, I'm ready to join.
Yeah, I should totally.
I mean, you're giving them permission to hire you, so. It works, I mean, on a psychological level.
Any other suggestions?
You mentioned, go ahead.
On the user research slide, I think you said like I'd like to go to where users are to study them. Maybe you should use like a buzzword like contextual or inquiry or something like that.
I think I mentioned few stuff.
Or maybe you did. Okay. Well, then, good job.
Yep.
On one of your slides, you were talking about your process, and then you kind of slipped in that it was for the English Avenue project.
Right.
But I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I guess like what I want to do is like, I think I want to include like some example, like for instance, like what I did for the English Avenue Service Design project, or maybe later on, like this is what I did for some project, like just to give out an instance. I don't know whether it's a good idea or
Let's
not.
talk about civic involvement, about how the service design project was about working in the situation of the planet, and how your input in the project won the Gubathon, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
You can talk about how you're from China, but working in the U.S., you've done lots of work working with them.
So just like one sentence kind of thing.
Like what I just said, I don't know if that sounds right to you, but talking about how your work gets you involved in the community a little bit, I think is a really favorable thing to say.
Yeah, and is everybody? I would agree. I wouldn't mention. I don't think you need to mention specific projects. People can disagree with me on this, but like Andy and what were you and Joe were saying, you're telling a story and you're going through your process, and that's good. And when you said, like I did in this project, like I don't know what that project was, but I might come talk to you about it later. You know, I can learn about it from your poster when I go meet you. So I don't think it's necessary to mention that. But yeah, like what Andy said, like it gets me out and involved in my community.
So I would say your message is coming together pretty strong, but you should really focus on your body language.
Yeah.
Can we? Are there any more first years who want to do the thing? I would say this is like one of the most important things for getting an internship if you haven't got one already. So I want to make sure.
haven't practiced at all.
It's okay. You should talk to Tulika about
Yeah,
it.
you still get useful
Oh,
feedback.
yeah, it's really the time is like, actually, you guys want to have like,
Yeah, it gave me an idea of what I
maybe
would
to pull on like the
actually
project
talk
to
in
like
the
a
how much I
personal
could talk.
brand.
I have like
What is that?
what I want to see.